Hi, this is Patty Hodge at Dr. Nurse's Rock. And this morning we have another very special guest. Miss Sophie Wade is a passionate storyteller and a mental health advocate for others in their 20s whose voices deserve to be heard. After pursuing film production in school, Sophie gained the tools to be able to produce her own projects, including her current podcast, andsoph, one word, a video podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impact. Her personal experiences with grief had inspired her to openly share her journey with loss in hopes of normalizing conversations about grief with the next generation. She believes we are all healing from something, yes, and that there is beauty worth fighting for on the other side of heartbreak. Thanks for being here, Sophie.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
Oh, it's an honor to have you, and I'm so grateful that the next generation is picking up this torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never hear grief talked about, and I'm far older than you are, and have had
Mhm.
many, many losses over the years. So, and as a mental health professional, I think it's really important that people recognize when they're experiencing grief.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell my viewers today, our viewers, what brought you to this place of wanting to do this work?
So I before didn't have a lot of experiences with grief. Um, I had experienced different losses, but I had never experienced a loss with someone super, super close to me where I talked to them almost every day. So that was something that was very new to me that I didn't think I would experience until I was much older. And so when I did experience it for the first time, with losing my best friend, Daniela, that I had known for about 10 years. So since we were, um, I think around in middle school-ish time, and I was about 19 years old when she passed away. And so I think that's something that, a 19-year-old shouldn't have to go through, and it is abnormal, but it's something that I realized once I experienced it that is, although it's not common, a lot of other people my age or more people my age that I think have experienced that. So I wanted to be able to talk about that on my podcast, just so people know that they're not alone and that it is possible to still find your life again and your joy again and your peace, even after experiencing something very heart-shattering or unexpected like that.
Yeah. Um, I don't know Danielle's story. I just know that
Mhm.
you were very close to this person.
Mhm.
But and it wasn't an expected loss, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had died in a car accident, and I just got the call the next day after that. And so I didn't get the chance to say goodbye, and I kind of had to process that all in that moment. So I think that's why it was extra hard on me because I didn't know how to just accept that and then figure out how to move forward while also supporting the other people as well that knew her around my age. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people your age in your early 20s,
mhm.
the earliest or the usually the first experience of loss is like a grandparent or an older person in your life. So to have a contemporary die so unexpectedly and in such a hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your experience with grief? How did you everybody goes through their grief journey differently, apparently. And
Yeah.
were you
Mhm.
experiencing what some of the symptoms that people commonly associate with grief? Uh, not being able to sleep or, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think it was easy to become isolated. I did have a really great support system around me, but I also didn't have much capacity to talk to very many people about it. So I kind of became a little isolated. I didn't really hang out with as many people. I ignored a lot of calls except for some close friends that just wanted to make sure I was okay. And I also was just in deep denial as well. So I was experiencing a lot of that and just having a hard time saying the word was or just like really, I guess, realizing that this was a new reality and this was eventually going to become a new normal that I would have to get used to. And I also experienced a lot of depression as well, and I ended up going back to therapy actually. And I had talked about this on my podcast how I started therapy before, but I quit. And then something told me I should go back to therapy, and it was in the beginning of this year, beginning of that year, and it was about a week before she passed away. And so I ended up staying in therapy. And I think the timing of that was really just God because I did need that support of a therapist to be able to process more of these emotions of depression that were maybe a little harder to just tell my friends and family because I knew they were there for me, but it's also a lot of really heavy things. So, um, I was grateful for that, but it was just, yeah, a very uncomfortable time for me. And I was just very also afraid to like just go out in the world in general, because I think that just really scared me that she unexpectedly passed away like that. So I was very paranoid when I was driving anywhere because I knew that she had passed away in a car accident. And so just knowing that, I think made me paranoid, and I had to keep working up the courage to drive again, like farther places from my home. And so, yeah, it was a lot of different things that I was juggling.
I can hear that. There was a
Hmm.
lot of stuff you were juggling, and I'm glad that you did have the support of a therapist at the time. Apparently, that was a little bit more than you could handle this
Yeah,
loss, yeah, alone. And no one should be handling a loss alone, right? That's the other message, is that we do need to have our tribe around us, whoever that tribe is. And
yeah,
as long as they're supportive and supporting you in a healthy way, that's what we need, right?
yeah,
So how, I mean, grief can go on for years and years. When we think
hmm
about the person and the loss, we can still be overwhelmed with feelings of the loss.
hmm
Um, but you are several years down the road at this point. Have you
yes,
seen the evolution in yourself? Have you seen how you went through this process of grief?
yes, yeah. I think I'm just very grateful that I got to a place of where I can just talk about this and be able to vocalize it. I think I wouldn't have been able to do that in the beginning, and I never really thought there was any purpose within that story of losing her. And so I think over the years, I've definitely evolved to be able to create my own meaning from everything that's happened. And it's just allowed me to be able to be more appreciative of my friends around me. So I've become someone who really values like one-on-one time with people, and I will intentionally reach out and make sure my friends know that I want to be in their life and that I support them and I love them. And I have also, I think, become a lot more resilient as well. Um, and when other things come up that are very unexpected, unfortunately, there was other people that had passed away during that time, and one of them was my aunt, who I also grew up with, and that was a loss that was very hard for our whole family. And so I had just thought I'm going to have a really, really hard time, just like I did with my friend, because I knew how I struggled with grief. But this time around, even though I was really sad and hurting, I think I was able to cope with it a little better and still honor my aunt by fully living my life and making an effort to stay close with my family. And so I think I've definitely grown in the ways that I've learned to cope with grief and appreciate the people around me.
Yeah, that's a wonderful outcome of having experienced loss.
Hmm.
Uh, and it does, additional losses don't always make it easier. So
Yeah. Hmm.
that you had some skills at that point, recognizing what was happening, and I'm
Yeah.
imagining that you pulled in your support system a little bit more at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because we're going to experience loss. That's life, right?
Yeah.
And it's not
Hmm.
always about the death of someone. It's not
Right.
getting the job we want or losing the job we want or
Hmm.
whatever happens that is a loss, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'm grateful that you're willing to speak about it and that you're willing to work with your peers. I mean, that's really a necessary thing in this world to have someone who has all of those things in line, right? You have the age and the experience, and now you know how to walk with someone in a clearer way when they've experienced this pain of loss. So that's kind of
Hmm.
amazing, Sophie Wade. I think the
Thank you.
podcast is kind of interesting too. You started that when?
I started that in 2024, so it's been about 2 years.
Okay. And how
Yeah.
often are you posting in your podcast?
On there, I post every 2 weeks.
So you have quite a little body of stories and things on there at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I will actually put all the links for people to find you
Thank
and pay
you.
attention to your podcast and your wisdom that's happening.
Thank you.
So tell me when you think about what you have been through and how you've
Mhm.
gone through that all, what tools would you suggest that people use to help themselves move through their own
Mm.
grief? You know, besides therapy, what worked for you?
Um, I would say something that also worked for me was I am usually not one to read a lot of books, but I ended up reading a lot more during that time. And for me, since I have a faith background and I grew up in church, I was very connected to God, but I felt kind of distant from God during that time. But I do like to read books that are relatable. And so I ended up doing research and finding different books that were kind of faith-based, but also had to do with grief in a way that didn't minimize my grief or just slap a scripture on it. It was more, I felt like I was understood and seen, and it helped me to actually understand what grief is and made me feel like it was normal to experience what I was experiencing and to hear from someone else who had gone through different types of grief, like you mentioned, like not just loss of a person, but maybe losing a job opportunity or a breakup or a friendship breakup or different things like that, where it can feel difficult to have hope. And so I think that reading those books was really helpful for me. Journaling was also very helpful. I was very honest in my journals, and looking back, you will see the progress that you make as well. And I could see that over the months of how I was feeling, and it was very up and down for me. Something I also learned is that the 5 stages of grief, I learned about that growing up, but I would go back and forth between different stages in that. And seeing that in my journal, I could see how it felt like maybe in the moment, I felt like I was moving backwards, but I was slowly making progress and still healing even when I had up and down days. So journaling was definitely helpful for me. And also just finding safe spaces with people in my life to talk to about it. Kind of had a fear that I was going to get left behind while everybody continued to live their life. And so I was afraid to keep opening up to the people around me sometimes because I knew it was a lot of heavy things and I didn't want to just be seen as someone who's just always sad and bringing the mood down. But I learned that the people that I loved in my life, they wanted to walk with me through that as well. So I think having those conversations and including my friends and family in that part of my life also helped me to push forward so that I wasn't being reliant on myself.
So you've offered some really good suggestions for people, and that's a really big gift. And some of the other things we've talked about in the 30 days, we did a 30-day grief series on my
Yeah.
channel here.
Mhm.
And I was so fortunate because I just put the invitation out there, do you want to be part of this? And all of a sudden, there were so many people that wanted to talk about grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a part of everyone's life.
Yeah.
And people walk around and they're either, upset. They put all kinds of names on things, but they don't say I'm grieving, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
sad, I'm upset, I'm depressed. I feel like, like life, just is passing me by. And like, what's the point? And when you hear these kind of words coming out of people's mouths, it's one of those things where you just want to say, well, wait a minute, what are you reacting to?
Yeah.
And usually it's some kind of a loss, either or trauma. And so if we could just get people to use the vocabulary and say, oh, this is grief, because that name gives it parameters in some way,
Yeah.
right? It
Hmm.
says, okay, it's something that can be dealt with.
Yeah.
It's not some amorphous, crazy kind of thing that we don't know what that means, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So people can use they can do bibliotherapy, which is getting those books. They can return to their faith, which is another thing. It's not a
Hmm.
tool, but it is something that sustains people. Um,
Hmm.
you called on your journal, which is a big deal.
Hmm.
And I think young people are more drawn to that kind of thing than maybe some other folks might be. So
Yeah.
that's really good to put that out there for people your age.
Hmm.
Music is another one.
Yeah.
So Sophie, I'm very impressed with what you're trying to do with your life. That's kind of
Thank you.
amazing. And that you're drawing on you went to college to learn filmmaking. Is that what I read for you?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I can't think of a better thing to do than to do your own podcast once you know how to do that. So
Thanks.
good for you. So what's next on the agenda? What's the next step for you? Do you know?
I think I want to continue to just create more podcast episodes with different people. I hope to kind of expand the guests that I have on because it's been really nice to have people that I personally know. Right now, I'm working on reaching out to more people that I haven't met before or are smaller creators that I would like to have on and just being more bold in that sense. And my dad, I think he has more ideas than me of what I can be doing, and he wants me to write a book and all this stuff. So that would be cool to do in the future. I used to write when I was younger. That passion kind of faded out, but it's still something that I would love to reconnect with. So I just, in general, want to continue to have different people on and try to talk about grief and everything else I'm passionate about for as long as I'm able to.
Good for you. So you mentioned your dad, and people who've been watching my podcast will know that Mickey Wade was here
Mhm.
during our
Yeah.
30-day series, and he was talking about breaking patterns and how he does grief work with people. So, Sophie, you're in good company,
Mhm.
and I'm grateful that you decided to spend some time with me today. I hope you come back and pick another topic maybe, and we'll expand on something that you've talked about. I think it's a real asset to have youth in this realm doing this work. So
Thank you.
do come back.
I will. Thank you so
Okay.
much. This was a great time.
And I'm gonna say bye for now and good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you as well. This is amazing that you have this as well.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.